Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for your patience today. Sometimes we're a little bit late getting going, but that's okay. Sometimes we don't show up at all, but at least we send you a message on those days. How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday. I'm excited today. I've got a bunch of retreaters up in the classroom. My mom's here and a bunch of her friends, and a couple of ladies drove up from down south, Donna and Shar, so I'm really grateful for all those fun gals today. We're going to have a great weekend. But anyways, welcome to Stash Busters. My name is Bradie, and today we are going to be cutting out this beautiful quilt that you see on display behind me. This one is called Finding Happy, and it was designed by our lovely Sheila van der Linden. She just does a wonderful job on these patterns. We're still working on getting the pattern together. Unfortunately, it was two files. The cover was separate, so we just got to merge those two files together. But Sheila's husband, Ron, has done a beautiful job on laying this pattern out for us. He is one of those guys that can use AutoCAD and like plot it all out. Can we split the screen for just a second so I can show him? So you can see here how Ron and Sheila have worked together to put all that layout. They even show you how to cut your fat quarter most efficiently. Can you see that well on the screen? I can only see that one. So there's the cutting instructions. What? This way. You're pointing towards me. Okay. So there are the cutting instructions, and you can see how Ron laid that all out with the software that he uses. I believe that is called AutoCAD. And then he went ahead with a full quilt layout just to show you how it all works together. We so appreciate the work that Sheila and Ron put into these patterns for us, because I don't know how to do any of this. So they make it look fantastic for us, and I'm very, very grateful for the van der Lindens. All right. So the point in all of that is that we're still working on getting that pattern together. So you are going to be able to sign up and get this pattern for free on the website at sparrowquiltco.com. And you're just going to put your name and your email address into the form there, and you'll receive an email with the pattern attached. Okay. So is there a spot where they can put their name in yet, or is that still going to get? Okay. Don't sign up yet. We'll tell you when it's all ready to go. Landon's working on it right now. As always, my lovely assistant Landon is here at the desk in front of me. We've changed the room around. Did you notice that things are a little bit different? We've got a beautiful collection of solids in behind that lovely quilt. 169 colors of a painter's palette by Paintbrush Studio. All solids, every color in the rainbow. So if that's something that you are in need of, make sure you check those out on the website there, okay? It's sparrowquiltco.com. You guys know how I love to give away prizes. Today I'm going to be giving away one of these brightly colored Olfa splash rotary cutters. You'll get to choose between pink, purple, and aqua, and that's going to be my prize today. What do you got to do to win? You're just going to share this video. So right underneath you'll see like, comment, and share. I'd love for you to share this video. That means you have to come back and give us a comment that says shared, and then that will enter you into the draw. We'll announce the winner at the end of the show today. So I kind of hemmed and hawed back and forth a little bit between two different fabric lines. And I even told you guys yesterday during the auction that I wasn't going to use this fabric line. But in the end, I caved because it's so vibrant and so beautiful. I thought, even if those flowers are a bit large, you're still going to get that powerful punch of color that I really wanted to see in here. And the other fabric line that I was looking at was a little bit softer, a bit too soft. And there wasn't enough contrast. So I thought, I really want that punch. I'm going to go with this beautiful fabric line that I've been eyeing for a while. And I am going to start cutting that up today while you are all here with me. So I'm going to set some of these off to the side so I have some room to work. And we'll just start chipping away at these. Out of my main prints, I've selected 8. Your pattern calls for 6, but I want you to go through and read the whole pattern. You'll note that it says, our American friends might have difficulty getting these cuts from their fat quarters since our Canadian quarters are a little bit chubbier. We have different measurements on our fat quarters. A meter here is 39 inches. A yard for you Americans is only 36 inches. So when you get a fat quarter, it's 18 inches wide. When we cut fat quarters here, they're typically 20. We get a little bit generous. We give you a bit more than half a meter. So my suggestion to you is bring in a couple of more fat quarters. pattern calls for 6. I'm going to use 8, and that's going to give me more variety in my prints, but it's also going to ensure that I've got enough fabric. So that's my suggestion to you, is use a few more fat quarters. Then you'll have a bit more variety in your layout. Have any of you joined the Sparrow Quilt Co. Daily group? I know there's a lot of you that have. But if you haven't joined the Sparrow Quilt Co. Daily group, I would love for you to join us there. We've got over 1,000 quilters now that belong to that group. And it's just a really great place for you to share your pictures of whatever you're working on. And there's no restriction. I'm not saying that you have to make my patterns and post pictures of that. You can post pictures of whatever you happen to be working on. And we've got lots of funny stories being shared in there. And there's just a really great sense of community being built there. So I'd hate for you to miss out on that. Make sure you join. We've hit 50,000 likes. Oh, on our business page, we hit 50,000 likes. That is amazing to me. Just amazing to me. So thanks to all of you for joining us and watching us and ordering from us and supporting our business. We're so grateful. We're so lucky. Oh, we have beautiful weather today. I'm sorry you've got rain in Texas, but the thing is for you, I know your nice weather's coming back. Our weather's beautiful here. Thank you for asking. Right now we're lucky. It won't last much longer, but we've got... Exactly. We had snow like a week ago and really, really cold. So now we've got about plus 13, which isn't like tropical by any means, but at least we don't have to layer up so much. But 13 at this time of year is much cooler than 13 a couple months ago. So I'm just cutting fat quarters here out of all these fabrics. That the other fat quarter I'll set aside and it can go on my shelf up front. Gotcha. So what I'm going to cut, I'm taking 8 fat quarters of prints. And then I'm going to cut, then I'm going to need 3.6 meters of neutrals. And they're not neutrals, they're just like a subdued print. But that's going to be the 2 requirements. 6 to 8 fat quarters of prints and about 3.6 meters of background fabric. I'm going to figure out what that is for Americans in yards. Fat quarters is fine. 6 to 8, that'll be universal. But let's figure out what 3.6 times 39 is equal to 140. Then we're going to divide that by 36. You guys, 4 yards of background fabric. Okay? That's what you're going to need. The first one was fine. Just a little photo up there. We're trying to get a good photo for you guys for the front. All right, this one I'm just going to leave out because this is what I'm using for my pattern. Those are put away. All right. Yay, Chris. Chris Burrows, right? Yay, I hope you love them, Chris. I'm going to set up my other chair for the fabrics. I stack it in their view. Someone wants to... Right here. I'll get it yet. Is it? Every time I go down for market or festival, it is so hot down in Houston. Last year, I felt like I was getting the flu because we'd be so hot and sweaty outside, and then we go into the convention center, and the air conditioning is pounding. So you're immediately like freezing. There was no in between. There was no happy medium. And now I just sound like a whiner, so I'm sorry. But I love Texas. We're going to come down again this year, hopefully. Just trying to decide, market or festival. All right, so I'm going to cut my second fat quarter here. And please don't forget to share, you guys. I want to send you one of these fun, bright-colored Olfa rotary cutters. They're called a splash cutter, and it's because it's bright and splashy. And they are available purple, pink, and aqua. I, of course, chose pink because pink is awesome. I'm surprised, actually, I didn't take aqua, but I liked the pink this time. So I am just cutting a 1/2 meter of fabric, and then I cut off the fold at the top. That's how we create fat quarters. If you weren't aware, that's how it's done. Oh, you do? Okay, well, that makes sense. Texas is really large, so I could see it having great variance in weather. That's fair. I should have considered that. Houston's pretty south. Because remember the girls drove down to the beach that was down on the Gulf, and it was just an hour's drive for them from Houston. Also, it's okay. I can never remember what the name of that area is that they went down to. Okay, this is one I'm using. So, this line of fabric I'm using today, it's called Jubilee. It's by Riley Blake Designs. The gal who designed it, her name is Cindy Walker. She had a really pretty book out a couple of years ago. I still own it. Something pretty patchwork or something like that. But anyways, when I saw she had a fabric line, I had to have it. It's being a bit of a fangirl, I'll admit. But I really like these. Hi, Joanne. Ooh, Sheila's out with Joanne today. They're sewing together at Joanne's place out in Leduc at Spools. Hope you're having fun, ladies. I got a room full here up front, too, all sewing. All right, so I'm one for me and one for the store. That's how it all works around here. One for me, one for the store.
Cheryl says there's a big variance in Alaska.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah. There's a city south of us that we're kind of rivals with, like a fun rival with, I would say. And they're closer to the mountains. So a few weeks ago, they got a bad dump of snow and the rest of us didn't. And they're south. We actually had to send snow plows down there to help save their little day. But yeah, it's kind of funny because all the Edmontonians revel in their misery down in Calgary when that happens. But then they'll laugh at us when our hockey team loses. Sorry, Calgary. Lennon's got a good point there. Well, anybody that lives there knows it's true. At least it's a fun rivalry, right? All right, I'm almost through my fat quarters already, and then I might just give everything a quick press so that it's nice and flat while I'm cutting, and then we'll go over the cutting diagram and the pattern. And like I said, just remember to use a couple of extra fat quarters if you are down in the States and you've got those fat quarters that are a little bit skinnier. So just throw in a few more fabrics, and then just have a bit more variety in your layout. Just not a bad thing, I don't think. Now, are you the type of person that'll stack your fabrics up and cut several of them at the same time? I certainly am. You guys probably saw last week how we were cutting out tumbler blocks with Christine here, and she had never stacked up her fabrics before, so that made me curious. I thought it was just kind of a universal thing. Is that something you do, or do you prefer the accuracy of doing one at a time? And I got to admit, you know, your accuracy maybe is reduced a wee bit by stacking up your fabrics. So everybody, welcome to the Stash Buster Show. Today we're working on the pattern that is behind me. It's called Finding Happy. It was designed by our very own Sheila Vanderlinden, with a little bit of help from her husband, Ron. You're going to really like the layout that they've done. It's really professional. It looks really great. Pattern will be ready for you soon. Lannon's going to let me know as soon as she's got it up there, and then you can start putting in your email address to have the pattern emailed to you. Isn't that bright and beautiful? Makes me feel like summer's coming back. It's not. It's leaving me, but that's okay. Are any of you going to be down in Houston at market or festival? We're still trying to decide dates. Which one we want to go to. Fold this all pretty like so it can go on the shelf up there. Aren't those nice? I'm excited. So please share this video, everybody. My prize today is one of these fun, bright colored rotary cutters. You have the choice of purple, pink, or aqua. And I'm going to give that away at the end of the show. So make sure you share the video. And don't forget that, not next, but Wednesday, October 31st, we're going to be starting a new summer series. We're going to do 50 blocks. Oh, Sheila just wrote, she said, there's a second Finding Happy hanging on the shelf in my office. It's the one with a border and chenille. So we'll show that a little bit later. I forgot about that one. Thank you, Sheila. I assume that you're watching. If not, I'll reply to your text later. That's right. Maybe Joanne will pass on the message for me. Sheila, last year I brought home these chenille fabric strips. It's just chenille on a roll. So it's like a bias cut strip on a roll. And Sheila made this quilt and then she outlined it with that chenille strip and then you put it in the wash and it just gets all fuzzy. It's beautiful. And it's actually, that other quilt would have worked really well with the chenille, the Summer Blush, because it's quite subtle and romantic. Maybe we'll do it again. Yeah, there's that line up front and it's all like blush color and light pinks. And yeah, there's a little bit of rose in there, but it's very, very subtle. The whole line. And the whole... Subtle. Yes, agreed. That's why I went bright instead. But the other one with the chenille would be really pretty. There was a lot of diagonal stripe in that line. And just looking at it on the shelf, my eyes were like, I can't do this. Imagine what it would do to the camera. We've noticed some fabrics make the camera go a little bit crazy, so probably better if we didn't have all that busy, stripy stuff. They're quiet today, not many questions. Okay, I'm still cutting prints. Like I said at the beginning, I am cutting 8 fat quarters for my prints, and that is going to be the brighter colored portion of the quilt, the squares that you see that are a wee bit wonky. And then I'm going to cut the lighter fabrics in the line, and those will be my background fabrics. So in total, I'm cutting 8 fat quarters, and we're going to need 3.6 meters of background fabric, 4 yards for the Americans. Let's set that one aside. I think this is the one that did me in. I had to have this one in my quilt. I love that green. Those flowers are just so pretty. Such a vibrant, lively line. Ooh. Yeah, it is Joy. Look, Jay. Oh, yay. I'm glad you like my fabric. I do too. I love this on the selvage when it shows the different colors that were printed in it. Like this is a little line of flowers, and each flower is kind of colored in. Can you see that in the second screen? I love this kind of thing. Moda has a designer, and her name is Bunny Hill Designs, and these are always little bunnies, and it's just so cute how the fabric companies come up with different ways to make that unique. It's funny to me that we chop it off and get rid of it. I do. I know some of you keep it. All right. Once again, one for the store and one for me. Oops. So my sampler that I start on the 31st, I'm going to be using all these solids that are on display behind me. I'm actually pretty excited. I'm not sure if I've ever done a quilt in all solids, so we'll see how that goes. It's going to be really a nice quilt because these fabrics are so nice. They are really, really beautiful solids. I'll try and make a bit more room here. Maybe I can get 2 rows on this chair. That way you can see them still yet. This is the last of my bright prints. So I'll cut 1 more fat quarter here. And then we'll cut 0.9 of the 4 background fabrics I'm going to use. There's a few in the line that I'm leaving out because they're just a bit too busy but not enough contrast. But they're still really pretty fabrics. Sometimes you just can't fit it all in. It just doesn't work. But as you guys know, I'm a real big fan of using 1 line of fabric in a quilt. It just makes it foolproof, in my opinion. Oh, Tammy, the pattern behind me is called Finding Happy, and we were going to have that available for a free download, hopefully by the end of the show here. This is the pattern that we're working on over the next couple of weeks. Okay, that's it for my prints. And now I am going to use these 4 fabrics for background. So the 3 are a very geometric print, but they're quite subdued. And then there is a tiny floral, which I also used in a brighter color, but here it's quite subtle, and I think it will be a fine background because it's not very strong. The remaining ones that I'm not putting in, there's this other floral, the pink. And those cherries, well, they're not cherries, they're little flowers, but they just weren't working anywhere in there for me. Then these guys, they probably would have worked as the prints, but they're a bit too inconsistent. I was concerned that they wouldn't be strong enough. And then this one's really pretty, but again, a bit too much wide open background fabric. It would not have been very effective in those little bits there. So that's right, exactly. They didn't work in either spot. So that's why I'm setting those. Oh, sometimes people do. You know, if we are on top of the thing, on top of ourselves and have the pattern out ahead of time, then yes, sometimes people do. But usually the day I'm cutting is the day we release the patterns. So I guess nobody's ahead of it. Yeah, so it would be hard to be prepared unless, go ahead, we release the fabric. Oh, the fabric line is called Jubilee, and you can find it on the website. It is by Riley Blake Designs. There was a couple of the fabrics that aren't on the website yet, so I've got photos of them now, and I'll get them up online. But if you just want a fat quarter bundle, those are listed there on the website. So these remaining 4 are my backgrounds. I need a 0.9 cut of each. So what's 39 times 0.9? 35 inches. So I'm pretty much cutting a yard, which would make sense because I told you guys you needed 4 yards. Duh. So I'll just lay that right out flat. Good idea, Stephanie. Yeah, then my backing would still match. One of those geometrics would be awesome as a back. 35.1. All right, I'm just going to cut 36 because I don't want to be short. Trying to be neat and tidy as I go so I don't leave a disaster behind me. So I'm really good at that. What did I do with my pin, guys? Oh, there it is. All right, we're getting slim on room there, but all right. Just a couple more to go, and then I'll press these all nice and flat so that they are going to be easy to chop into tiny pieces. So, although when you look at this, it isn't like a really, really subtle background fabric, when I put something against it like that, it won't matter that it is a little bit strong itself because this is stronger. So it's going to overpower and it's going to create a good contrast between the two fabrics there. So I'm going to pick and choose where I place my background fabrics to make sure that I get the most effect out of my contrast. Yes. Jamie, that's a great point. And that's why we would add that chenille. We'll show you that other quilt later. And it's like adding a strip of rag quilting to a regular pieced quilt. It's pretty slick, actually. I completely forgot that Sheila made that other one, too.
Please tell them that if they are in our newsletter, we'll be sending a pattern to the whole newsletter right now, and that if they're not, then we'll get a subscribe link in 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect. All right, everybody. So Landon says if you're already on our newsletter, the entire newsletter list is going to get the pattern in about 10 minutes. Then if you're not on our newsletter, then you can subscribe and sign up for it. Okay.
Well, there will be a place to submit your email.
Okay. The submit your email thing will be ready in a couple of minutes here. All right. So please make sure you share this video so you get a chance to win my pretty little rotary cutter. I'm not sending you mine. You can pick your own color. I actually really like these little Olfa rotary cutters. They're guaranteed forever. It says right on the package, guaranteed forever. That is a pretty good investment. It's like an APQS machine, lifetime warranty. Just a little plug there. Call me about demo machines. Renters are quiet today. Be done already. Right outside this room, we have a long arm rental studio, and of course the rest of the shop, but quilt shop. Sometimes the machines are really loud, and I feel like I'm yelling at you all. So it's nice when I don't have to yell.
Would you ever just use one color for background and centers?
Absolutely, you could use one color. Yep, you could make this a 2-color quilt. You could buy 2 fabrics. You would buy 4 yards of background fabric, and you would need 2 yards of print or solid. You could use whatever you want, but just total up your measurements for that particular portion of the quilt. You can do whatever you want. It's your quilt. That's the newsletter. Okay, newsletter just went out with a pattern attached, my friends. And then the sign up link will be there shortly. Perfect. So you can all download that and print it off and start pulling pretty stuff out of your stash, because this is Stash Busters. You're supposed to use up your stash. But if you want to go out and buy new fabric, I will never judge you for that. Never, never, never. dust came from. It's weird.
Patricia says one can never have too many rotary cutters shared.
Thanks, Patricia. I agree. Half the time mine's buried under something, so I like to have a couple of everything around if possible. In my long arm class, there's a point where we're loading the quilt, and I just teach my students to measure something with their fingers. And a lot of times they'll say, but, you know, I've got fatter fingers than you. And it doesn't really matter. It's just like an estimate. And I always say, I always have my fingers handy. They're never buried under a pile of magazines or fabric. They're always with me. I can never lose them. Hopefully. All right. There's all my pretty fabrics all chopped up. Where all this dust came from. So I'm going to set aside the backgrounds. I think my cutting is the prints first. So I'm just going to go back to my pattern, get myself kind of organized here.
Christine says she's always displacing her rotary cutters.
Yeah, I believe it.
She says she likes it when you call us her darlings, and you know that little emoji that's like this?
My quilty darlings. Yes, I love it. Yes, it is. You already own it, Stephanie. It is already your stash. Doesn't matter if you have physical ownership of it yet. It belongs to you. It's part of your stash. All right. Cutting instructions. Prints. I forgot to mention 1/2 meter for binding, but that's pretty standard. This quilt is going to finish up at 58 by 68, so that's a nice size for throwing on the couch. If you felt like you wanted it a little bit bigger, you could probably add another row. Throw in a couple more fat quarters, throw in another yard of background fabric. You can always make something bigger. Just add more fabric, just keep going, add a border. And we'll show you that other Finding Happy in a bit here that has a border. So from each fat quarter, we're going to cut 6 strips, 2 3/4 by 21 from the selvage to the raw edge. This is what made me really happy. Sometimes when you start chopping up a fat quarter, you don't go in the right direction. So I love that Sheila included that instruction piece. Do we have split screen? So you can see here the layout. So Sheila advises you how to lay your fat quarter out. Americans are going to have 22 inches in this direction. It's the 20 inches that may not match for you Americans. You might only have 18. Depends how generous your local quilt shop is, or accurate, perhaps is the better term. So you're going to lay out your fat quarter with the 18 inches on the horizontal, the 22 inches on the vertical. And if you need more fat quarters, just go ahead and throw them in. Okay, we are going to lay out our fat quarters and start cutting those up.
Lots of recommendations for pegboards, and someone said they lost it.
Someone said they lost what? So I am laying it this way. And, oh, I can do these right side up. They don't have to be upside down. I'm going to do a couple of them at a time. I was going to press these, but I think they are flat enough. And I'm probably going to do, I think I'll do 4 at a time because I've got 8 to do. So that'll mean 2 processes of cutting. And I'm just going to line up that selvage edge closest to myself. And we're going to go 4 deep. Put this pretty one on top that I love the best. Okay, so I always square my first edge just to make sure that it's nice and square. And I'm going to get out that little cutting diagram that the Vanderlinden's made up for us. We are cutting 2 3/4 inch strips. So we got a little bit of room there for squaring. I'm just going to be really, really careful. I don't want to lose too much when I square that up there. There we go. And I'm going to have to go around to the other side of the table for just a second so that I can cut from that other direction. Hopefully you can still see well enough there. Good, yes you can. I want to make sure I'm coming from the right direction. I'm being really careful because I'm a little bit off center here, so I don't want my ruler to shift. Make my way across there really nice and slow. Square up that first edge. It is a very, it's a reddy orange. Scarlet, yeah. It's almost tomato color, like it's a reddy orange, this color. In the description of the item on the website, I described it as orange. In my opinion, it looks a little bit darker in that picture than it should. It's a very red orange, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so we're gonna cut 2 3/4 inch strips, right? Let's go back to the beginning where I can see my instructions. 6 strips, 2 3/4 inches wide. One, two. So this is the point where you want to measure twice, cut once, really take your time here to make sure you've got it lined up correctly. 2 3/4. And I like to put my pinky finger at the edge of my ruler there. That helps it stop from slipping. And I never cut past my index finger. I just walk that hand along and cut my strips. I don't have them on this ruler, but yes, we carry those non-slip disc dot things. We put them on the back of rulers all the time. This one's an Omni Grip, so it's got anti-slip on the back. There's Omni Grid and Omni Grip, both the same company, but they put that non-slip stuff right on the rulers when it's the grip one. And it's fairly effective, but it never hurts to have a little bit more, so I often add those dots. Julie, the background noise is the long arm quilting machines that run here in the shop. We've got a long arm rental program, and people come in and rent the machines. And they finish up their quilts here with the coaching. We're right here to kind of help them. Two 3/4 inch strips is what we're cutting. I'm going to cut 6 of those. Oh, I have a little shift there. Before I go any further, I'm going to adjust. There we go. Hold that in place. And I'm just moving those strips off to the side as I go. I'm at number 3. I need 6 in total.
Are you cutting that?
I am cutting up the quilt that's behind me. That pattern is called Finding Happy. Do you have a form on the site, Noelle? We are going to have a form on the website shortly where you'll be able to put in your name and email address, and you can download the pattern for free. Thanks everybody for joining us today. This is the Stash Busters series. It is a year's worth of free patterns and video tutorials to help you use up your stash. And as we discussed a few minutes ago, even if you bought that fabric online yesterday, it is part of your stash. You own it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5. This will be my last strip. Then I've got a little bit left over, it looks like. And subcut 5 into this. And 2 strips into that. That totals 7. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're cutting 7 strips. Not 6. Diagram says 7 as well. The next step indicates 7 strips, so we're going to cut 7 strips. That's not cut yet, right? Okay. So if you're interested, you can check out all our prior patterns and video tutorials on the website at sparrowquiltco.com. We also have them on our YouTube channel, and you can find all the prior patterns now for sale on the website. The patterns are only free as we do the live videos, but we make them available for you after the fact as well. Okay. So now that we've cut our 7 strips, all I've got left is that wee tiny bit. And I know some of you would use that. I put it in the G file, G for garbage. But I know some of you like that. All right, so 5 of our strips, we're going to turn them and we're going to start subcutting them. We're going to cut 7-inch rectangles. And then 2 of our strips, we're going to cut into slightly rectangular 2 3/4 by 2 1/2. All right, so let's set aside 2 for a moment, and then I'll carefully lay out the 5. I like to start with my selvage all at the same end, and then it's easy to just kind of chop that off at the one side. Because we don't want to put any selvage in our quilts, do we? No, no. Again, when I'm subcutting strips, I like to line them all up and do a lot of them at the same time. Not stacking them on top of each other, but just laying them out across the board so I can cut lots at the same time. And we're going to cut these into 7-inch rectangles. So these pieces will measure 7 by 2 3/4. Better come from the other end. That's at 6. We end at 27. I'm going to try and be a bit more frugal. I want to make sure that I'm getting enough. 3 cuts of 7 is going to require 21 inches. So I have to make sure I've got 21 inches of length here before I start cutting anything. And we're looking pretty good here. Okay, so I'm just going to step around to the other side there and make that cut. Get all those selvages off. Okay, get all those little guys out of there. Come back around and I can cut my 7 inches now. Now, just a reminder, you guys, to share this video. I'm going to be giving away one of these fun, bright colored splash rotary cutters today. So you're going to share this video and then come back and comment that you've shared, and that will qualify you to win. I'll announce a winner at the end of the show today. There we go. Last cut on this little set here. We are really making good use of these fat quarters. I am left with nothing but shreds. This is confetti now. See how much we're using up? We're really being effective here. Use it up. Okay, so these are all 7 inches by 2 3/4. I'm just going to go ahead and sort them right now. Maybe not. This is going to take a minute. You guys got time? Are you busy? Busy hanging out with me. 30. Now make sure you go onto Facebook and search for Sparrow Quilt Code Daily. It's a fun group that we have created for all of our quilty followers. And you can all post your pictures there of whatever you're working on. You can ask questions there. You can just share your successes, ask for advice, share funny stories. It's becoming a fun little group there. And I think there's already over 1,000 quilters in there. And Landon just informed me that we've reached 50,000 likes on Facebook. So that is really amazing as well. We are very lucky to have such a great group of customers that watch our videos and support us. All right. Can I do this two-handed? Yes, I can. Yay. Perfect. All right, then I'm going to do 4 more fat quarters in this exact same manner, and then we're going to move on to our background fabrics. Actually, let's do some background fabric. We'll mix it up a little bit, and then we'll come back to our fat quarters. So right now the fabrics that I'm cutting are going to be the print portion of the quilt, that bright part, and next we will cut up some background fabric. Oh, sorry guys, I've got one more thing to do with this here first. We still had 2 strips left over from our original fat quarter cutting. So let's cut these into what we need to cut into. These we're going to cut into 2.5 inch rectangles, just slightly rectangular. The width of the strip is 2 3/4, and then we're going to cut the height at 2 1/4. This I should be able to square from my side. Very carefully cut back this way. Okay. Let's double check. 2.5. So they're 2 3/4 wide. We're going to cut 2.5 inch high. Just slightly rectangular. 1/4 inch less in one direction. How many times? 14. So I need to get 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is cut there, but we only need 14. There we go. So this next cut again is going to be 2.5. And we'll just keep going at 2.5 until we get 14. We need 14 from each I'm going to cut 16 just because I can, and sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of extra. Two and a quarter. Nope, 2.5. Geez. I almost had a miscut there and used up my extra. View's okay, Elle? They can see well? Good, good, good. Things are shifting just a little bit, so I'm just going to carefully line those back up. It is a good thing when there's no waste. So nice to use it all up. Because otherwise you just end up with more stash. Back into the stash it goes. All right. So I got a wee tiny bit left at the end there. Joyce would probably crumb quilt out of those, but you know, they're a good 2 inches wide, 2 3/4 inches wide by probably an inch or so. So then later I'll sort these into their specific colors as well, and I will keep them with the larger rectangles that I've already cut, because we're going to sort them so that we have got 4 pieces for each square, but we want all the fabrics to be the same. So my center is going to be neutral, and then I'll put 2 of the smaller rectangles on the side of that, and then 2 of the bigger rectangles on the long sides, and then we'll do some fun cutting to get that wonkiness that you see there. There's no cutting instructions, there's no cutting diagram for the background fabric. We're just going to work through the instructions with that. From the neutrals, we're going to cut 11 strips that are 3 inches wide. And if you're using remnants, you're going to use 42 strips. So let's cut 11 strips that are 3 inches wide. I'm going to fold this in half and cut double layers. It's like I said, I'm impatient and I like to get things a little bit quickly. Square up that first edge. Line it up nice first. So I'm going to need 33 inches of fabric. Since I've got it folded in half, means almost. Okay, I'm going to square here. That's at the 2, and I'm going to need at least 17. That brings me up to here. Good. I'm going to have enough room, even with my fold. So let's line up that beginning edge. I'm going to trim off these little bits at the end to give myself a square edge to start with. Running into everything here. Okay, get that out of there, and now I'm going to cut 11 strips 3 inches wide. Go. Sure. Bit better. Okay. Lana is just telling me where I should position myself a little bit better so you've got a better view. So there's 4 3-inch strips. Whew. I even turned on the air conditioning in here this morning because it was so warm. And we got 8 there. This is 10, and then for 11, I'm just going to open this up and lay it flat, and then I'll be able to get my last 3-inch strip there. Don't shuffle. We needed shuffling last week. Don't anymore. Oops. There we go. All right, so now I have got 11 strips of background fabric. Let's see how we sort those out. Neutrals, cut 11 strips. Subcut each strip into 2 that are 11, 2 that are 6, and 1 that is 2.5-inch square.
This is 11 3-inch width of fabric.
That's right. That is right. Oh, okay. Yes, it is 11 strips, 3 inches wide by the width of fabric. That is correct. Okay, so we're cutting all these strips the same way. So I'm going to try and do them all at once. So my total there, 11 and 6 is 17, plus 2.5 is 19.5. Perfect. I'll have plenty. I can square up, and I'm not going to be too slim on the other end. I always like to make sure that I want to know how frugal I have to be at the beginning to make sure I get enough overall. Nothing like getting to the end and realizing you should have been a bit more frugal at the other end. Again, it's measure twice, cut once. Read the pattern twice and cut once. These I'm just trying to line them up as best I can. Sometimes they get a little bit off from each other. But because I like to do so many of them at once, I try to keep them kind of lined up. Oh, this fabric's so pretty. All right, let's trim off that selvage as close to the end as we can. I'm taking off a little over 1/2 inch. I'm going to do this from the other side again. Hopefully I'm not blocking your view too badly. All right. Get back over here, get rid of all these little guys.
Olive would like to know if you just started this quilt.
Oh yes, Olive, this is the first day of a brand new quilt. The quilt you see behind me is called Finding Happy. It's designed by Sheila Vanderlinden, and the sign up for this one will be available on the website shortly. So we're at 10. Oh, that end is a little bit wonky. My squaring wasn't as effective as I would have liked it to be. I'm just going to trim that again. Okay, maybe I'm cutting a little too much. There we go. Now I'm more square. Come on. There it is. All right, so my first cut is going to be 11 inches. I'm lined up at 10, so I'm going to cut at 21. Each strip we're going to cut an 11. Then we'll cut a 6. Six is the width of my ruler, so that's an easy one. And then my last one will be 2.5. And that's going to be the little center of the entire square. Checking carefully that this is all lined up. We are good. I'm cutting the 2.5 now. And those little folds are left over too, but not a whole lot. You can throw that in something else. It's not the end of the world. I was looking at these because they were 3-inch strips. They weren't square. I was trying to figure out why aren't they square. So we're going to turn these 2.5 inches and we're going to cut them once more to make them a 2.5-inch square. All right. That makes more sense now. I was confused for a moment there.
Donna would like to use the mystery block quilt sashing instructions.
Oh, Donna, I'm sorry. No, we have not finished up the mystery quilt sashing instructions. I started piecing it together last night with my retreaters. So I'm hoping to be able to get that all together for you this weekend, okay? I'll send it out, though, as soon as I've got it ready. All right, we're just cutting off a 1/2 inch off the long side of each of those last rectangles so that we've got 2.5-inch squares. I'm just tossing those little bits there. And now I have got a lovely collection of background fabrics. So this isn't going to be a square log cabin. That's kind of what this block is a bit of a wonky log cabin. But just for fun, let's lay one out. It won't look exactly right, but we can get a good idea of the contrast we're going to see in these blocks. So we're going to need one of these little pretties in the center. And then let's go with the orangey red, reddy orange. And then we're going to need 2 long ones in our reddy orange. And of course, this will all fit better once everything's sewn together, right? So Sheila actually has her short ones up top here. These ones here and here. And then we will be, once everything's sewn together, it's going to fit a lot better too. I'll have our seam allowances all worked in. And then this will go around the outer edge. So that's going to work just fine. That fabric, although it has a little bit of a print, I can just put it beside another stronger, bolder print, and it is going to have enough contrast to create that punch of color that we see here on the quilt behind me. All right, let's go back and finish cutting the rest of our prints. The rest of our print fat quarters. How are we doing for time? 11:49. So we got about 10 minutes left in the show here. Why don't you guys share one more time and then come back and tell me that you've shared, and that will enter you into our giveaway to win a bright and fun rotary cutter. You're going to get to choose between pink, aqua, or purple. All fabulous colors. And then don't forget to join that Sparrow Quilt Co. Daily group so that you can see what the others are up to, see other fabrics that other people are using. Maybe you need some help with one of the quilts. That's a great place to join in and find support. And if you're interested in our prior Stash Busters videos, check us out on YouTube. Our channel is called Sparrow Quilt Company. And we've also got a Stash Busters section on the website where you can find all the prior videos that we've done. The prior quilts are no longer free. You got to pay for them now. But the video tutorials are all still there to support you throughout the making of that quilt. So that's pretty. It's a nice bonus. That would make a nice skirt or something, hey?
So,
For Sophie.
like, I love it, but I thought I was like, make a nice
A nice bag. Get what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, she does. Carol up front makes really great bags and stuff, too. Oh, you gonna go get that chenille Finding Happy? Thanks. Bring a roll of the chenille too, if you don't mind. Maybe there's the bright pink. See, bring some colorful ones. Okay, let's just square up this first edge before we start chopping up this fat quarter. These fat quarters. I got 4 of them there. Layered them all up. Get rid of those little trimmings at the beginning. And let's check our instructions again. What are we doing? From each fat quarter, cut 7 strips, 2 3/4. 2 3/4, and that was just a little edit that I threw in there, that 7 strips, okay? The instructions say 6, but we need 7. Okay, 2 3/4. And like I said, when I place my hand on my ruler, I put my pinky finger off to the left side of the ruler. It kind of braces the ruler, but I never cut past my index finger. Once I reach that point, I'm going to walk my hand along and make sure that the ruler stays stable so that I don't get that tipping that can happen. Yeah, that one's a lot more subtle, isn't it? Not as much contrast in that one.
Chris says, who doesn't need to bust some stash in bracket to make them.
That's right, Chris. Who doesn't need to bust some stash so they can make room for more? That's exactly right. So when I have to cut 3/4, I always go to the bigger size and then move it over a quarter. I just find that's a quick and easy way for me to line things up, and I make less mistakes. Then even if I cut it at that point, at least it's a bit too big rather than a bit too small. Yeah. Lanning just said rather than lining up with 2 and then rising to 3/4. Yep. I'll show you those in just a second, everybody. Okay, so this is the 4th strip that I'm cutting 2 3/4 inches wide. We're going to cut 7 of those total. Oh, look at that strip. Got all the big florals in it. That's pretty. My dad came in the other day and he says, "Did you know that floral is a plural?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess." And he said, "Then stop adding an S to it." It's not florals, it's floral. He was a little nicer than that, but I said, "Okay then." So that's what my dad taught me recently.
Trisha says that Bradie has Bradie has the best stash ever.
Thank you. I'm very lucky. I have a wonderful stash. Landon just did a dive over there. She almost took out the camera and sound system. Her chair saved her little life. Whew. Is it hot in here, you guys? I put on the air conditioning this morning because it was so warm. Yeah. Stop putting an S on it. Yes, I do. Just one more strip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has to work out. It's going to use every bit, but I had to count. That was silly. I knew it was going to work out just right. 2 3/4. We could go green.
What is single for
Flower.
floral?
Single for floral. But like you hear florals a lot, right? Like this is a line of florals. It's not a line of floral. Right?
Joyce's Flora.
Ooh, flora. Mm-hmm. That works. All right. So we were telling you about the chenille, and I am just going to go ahead and bust this open. And I have to do it carefully because I'm paranoid of staples. Sorry. Matt says maybe I'm a little bit particular, and that's okay. It's okay for me. He has to live with it. Poor guy. All right. Ooh, it even comes in a little Ziploc bag. I like that. So this is what chenille is. It is a very thin cut strip, 5/8 by 20 yards, and it's cut on the bias. So that means it's all a diagonal edge. And if you don't know what that means, it means it's very fragile. And that edge will deteriorate. But when you put it onto a quilt, it actually gets a really cool effect. I'm going to hold it up over here under the camera. Hopefully you can see it. So that's my bias strip, and if I hold it up really close, you can see how the grain is diagonal. And if I pull it, do you see how it stretches like that? This edge is going to start to fluff up. I'm actually destroying the weave. Do you see it there? So that creates a really cool fuzzy edge, and it's just like our rag quilts that we do. Although they're not on the bias, the weave just comes apart. So you can see there, what we do is we put it on the fabric and we stitch right down the center of it. And then when we wash it, we get something that turns into da-da-da-da-da. I'll show you a close-up of this in a moment. You can see on here, on Sheila's, how she added the chenille around each, not every block, alternating rows and around alternating blocks. And it created this fuzzy little chenille look. And it's really, really cool. So then Sheila, instead of putting on a traditional binding, she backed this quilt with flannel and she ragged the outer edge, which created that same chenille type of look. So you can see this quilt even looks great in subdued colors. I could have gotten away with that other fabric line that I was telling you about, but like I said, I really liked the colorful punch of this fabric line. So yeah, if you'll switch the camera there. So I could have done it in that more subtle. Are we switched over?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see here, this is the fuzz. This is the chenille that Sheila stitched on to the quilt along the seam lines. And then she threw it in the wash, and it created that really furry look. Oh, look, she's even got some, what's that called? Eyelet type fabric in there. Boy, that's pretty. So that is what chenille will add when you buy that stuff on the roll. And so we'll see once I finish up this one. Sorry, guys, making you dizzy there, I bet. Swinging the camera around. So once I get my quilt all together, perhaps I will attach some of this stuff, you know, along the blocks there, like Sheila did, and create that kind of fuzzy look. I believe Sheila only used one layer. Sheila, if you're there watching and I'm wrong, please comment. But I believe she just did one layer of it, and she just stitched down the center, I believe. So once the quilt was all finished, she just lay it out where she wanted it, and then just top stitch it along that seam down the middle of the chenille so that the two edges can kind of curl up and fray. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty awesome. We have this stuff in lots of different colors, the pink, the green, the blue. I love that color blue, but it's not really in this quilt. White, and I think we have black as well, maybe even purple. Thank you, Joanne and Sheila. So that is how that goes. That's right, Joyce. Just sew down the center of the chenille strip along the edges of the block or wherever you want to attach it. It is regular fabric ragged on the edge, and the backing is flannel, so that contributed to that raggy look there. But the flat cotton's chenilled up really, really nice. On the edge, like on the border, even the flat cotton got that chenille type look, just like raw edge applique would. This is flat cotton as well. It's not chenille either. It's a bit thicker. Yeah, it's just a rag quilted edge. So we will. Okay, that's what we'll do with this quilt too. But around the outer edge, she just did a straight stitch around the entire outer edge, and then she snipped it with rag snips. And quite close too, I would say 1/4 of an inch. Taking care not to snip into that straight stitching line around the whole outer edge. And the batting is in there too, so that gives it even more fluff.
How long was each roll and how much is the Joyce is also going to be ordering.
Gotcha. I have a lot of the chenille, Joyce, and everybody, in multiple colors. You can see them. They're all on the website. Each roll is 20 yards. I believe Sheila only used the one roll for her quilt, and they are 5/8 wide, 5/8 of an inch wide. Each roll is $10.99 Canadian, so $8.50 for you Americans. Would you like to choose a winner for me, please, Miss L? I am going to give away a fabulous rotary cutter today. Oh, let's give away one of those too. Let's give away a chenille too. Let's pick 2 winners today. I'm going to give a rotary cutter to one gal, and I'm not going to assume that you're all gals, and I'm going to give away a roll of chenille as well. You can look on the website and select your color if you are the winner. So that what? Don't dawdle just in case we sell out. Just a reminder, guys, search on Facebook, look for Sparrow Quilt Co. Daily. I'd really love to see you in that group there. It's a lot of fun to see what you guys are up to. Makes me so proud to see all of you working on our quilts that we designed here at Sparrow Quilt Company. And please don't be afraid to share other quilts that you're working on. We don't mind seeing those posts as well. And a lot of support there, a lot of just fun community. I can see some fast friendships growing there in the group. Check out our prior Stash Busters tutorials on our website at sparrowquiltco.com. I'm assuming that the sign-up link is there for the pattern now. So if you've not gotten the pattern, please go put in your name and your email address, and we will send you the pattern by email. And if you prefer YouTube, you can check out our videos over there on YouTube, and we post them all here on the Facebook page as well. We'll be back next Friday at 10:30 a.m. with Stash Busters. We'll do part 2 of this quilt, and on Wednesday, October 31st at 10:30 a.m., we will start that 50 blocks in 50 weeks, more of a beginner sampler type event. Well, that will be using all of our beautiful solids that you see. Oh, good. Thank you, Sheila and Joanne. So Sheila says she used just about 1 roll on that quilt there. I'm hoping it was the same size. Hey, Sheila? It was a different one that we brought back. It wasn't this company. I think it was about the same size. So I am hopeful that 1 roll will be enough to say do this quilt. And she did every other block, right? It wasn't every single block, and then chenilled every other row. So we're not doing every single one. All right. I've got 2 winners today. The winner of this rotary cutter, you're going to have to go to the website, or you don't have to go to the website. Just tell us pink, purple, or aqua. The winner of the rotary cutter is Annabelle Graham. So Annabelle, please send us a message. I need your shipping address, your email address, and your phone number, and include what color of rotary cutter you would like. Congratulations, Annabelle. Everybody congratulate Annabelle. Louise Chapman is the winner of our roll of chenille. So Louise, I need you to go to the website and pick your color: white, pink, blue, green, purple, or black. Those are your options, okay? We're going to send you 1 roll of that. Louise, I also need your shipping address, your email address, and your phone number. please, ladies, each of you specify the prize that you've won. You're going to tell me your color of choice anyway, so that will work out just fine. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again next Friday, and I hope you all have a lot of fun cutting out your quilt, okay? So let's get sewing next Friday when we meet again, and we will get going on this beautiful Finding Happy quilt. Thanks for watching, my quilty darlings. I will see you next week. Bye for now.